Whoa.
Cool.
Whoa.
That's cool too. Those are both cool.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting installment of the Pick of the Week show, the Cape and Cowl Comics Pick of the Week show. Yes, that's true. You have finally made it to the show based on the comic book store of the same name. I am your host, Cody, aka the Mutant Menace in some circles, and I'm joined today by my fabulous co-hosts. I have Kevin, aka KevBotzilla. Kevin, if you could relocate to a different decade and choose to stay there instead, with everything you know now, but giving up all the things you know now, would you do it?
Yeah. Do you want me to tell you what decade?
Yes.
The 2300s.
Oh,
You didn't say I had to go back.
you're just skipping ahead. I don't know what's more terrifying.
No, I don't know. Because, I'm very much one of those people who doesn't feel like the old decades were the good old days or anything. So I don't know. The 80s were kind of cool. There's a lot of cool media and culture to consume, but there's also a lot of fucking shitty shit going on. Sorry.
This is very true.
Language.
Shitty shit. Lots of shitty shit going on. And I am also joined by another co-host, Eitan. Eitan, how's it going? And before you answer that, if you were in summer camp and you were bullied by a bunch of mean kids, would you take a dull hatchet to the entire camp and seek your revenge?
Why? What kind of question was that? And why would I use a dull hatchet? If I'm going to go after the whole camp, I'm going to take a moment to sharpen it. You know? I got time.
Today, I thought of these questions on the fly, and I was trying to keep it relevant. But
I like it. I like
that
it.
one was a little bit rushed.
Cody, let me ask you, if you found an evil coin that could grant all of your wishes, but it extracted a devastating toll, would you take it?
Absolutely not.
Really? What?
No.
You don't even know what the toll is.
It
It could be like you're like it's your pinky toes. It's both your pinky toes.
Yeah,
like,
but
it wasn't a little hard to walk. But
It wasn't specified if it was a toll on me or those I love, and I can't affect other people's lives for some stupid decision I made for my own selfish needs, you know?
dang.
All right. Well, now that we got that out of the way.
Yeah, we're starting really lighthearted today, everybody.
I want to go to another decade.
What decade would you go to?
I would go back to like the 20s, maybe the 10s or 20s, and be a bank robber. When it was easy, you just walk in, be like, give me all your money, and you just run away.
So Eitan wants to go create chaos and crime.
I want to go back. I read all these old pulp crime books and stuff, and it's so easy. There's no cameras or technology or anything. They're just like, give me what I want. Smash. I could do that.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. All right.
One man's dream.
Yeah.
We've all seen how Bonnie and Clyde ended, though.
Oh, boy. Not good.
Anyway, this is the show where we talk about cool comics that we read. Today we're talking about comics that came out on the 12th of May. That's right, New Comic Book Day was yesterday. Today is no longer New Comic Book Day, but now we get to bask in the glory of the comics we did read. And we're all highlighting some favorites and some stuff that we wanted to draw some attention to because we think it's worth your while. I went first last week, I think. I think this week I'm going to nominate Kevin to go first. What do you think about that?
I like it. Hello, Eric Rigsby. Thank you for joining us today. And Filthy Rich Bone Man, who I think is Joe Hansen. Hello, Joe. Good to see you.
Doxed.
Okay. Anyways, my pick of the week, I'm going to start with the weirdest one that I read. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this publisher who's been popping up a lot lately with such titles as You Promised Me Darkness and The Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
Yep.
They've tended to be really cool, more horror oriented and dark superhero stuff with really heavy contrasting art styles. It's been cool, but this Junkie Cable was the first one from Behemoth in a while that I recall that was super colorful and really fun. It sort of feels like if Brandon Graham did Tank Girl. It's very sexualized and crazy, and these here, let me show you some of the cool art in here so you know what I'm talking about.
I love that description of this book, Kevin. I think that's so right on. The Brandon Graham doing Tank Girl is really a perfect summary. I hope that this main character ends up being as badass as Tank Girl.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Like they swap out some of the badassery and things that I feel like could have made the book more well-rounded. They swapped those out for like innuendo and like hyper-sexualized dialogue. So there's like some parts that are definitely not like my style. I have no problem with sexy time in comics, but when it's just like forced down your throat without actually adding a lot to the scene, it's not always my favorite. But I was able to get past it without blinking. And I don't know, like I don't want to spoil anything, so I won't show you some of the later pages. But it's super weird. There's like aliens with 2 heads. Her partner, who's a vegetarian, they boil cucumbers and make this cool cucumber meal. You guys know me. You know I like the little details. And that's one of the reasons I love Brandon Graham. And this book delivers in that way consistently. When her and her partner are getting together, they've got a little thing that plugs their heads in so they can feel the same thing. So like I said, there's lots of variety in this issue. It's nice and thick. Some cool violence too. Really, really awesome future battles. And I'm gonna show you a picture. I'm gonna show you a picture of Janet, Queen of the Ultra Sexy Insects. That's all I'm gonna show you. Look at Janet.
Well, I think it's good to point out, like the couple are outlaws of some kind. We don't necessarily. I don't think we know exactly what they've done or what they do, and they are on the run from bounty hunters. And in this world, there's like some places where bounty hunters can go, and some places that are like safe zones from the bounty hunters, and that's kind of the setup here. Is that we got they're up to no good. Our friends here, they do bad things maybe, and people are out to get them.
And it also like it had a bit of that Brandon Graham sort of sensibility too, because I get the sense these characters feel a lot like Sexica and her boyfriend from Multiple Warheads, 2 sort of criminal people living on the fringe who are. It seems like they're getting ready to embark on an adventure or some mission or something that's going to either provide their fortunes or something cool in the story. But it seems like it's kind of gearing up to go in that direction, and I'm really excited. Looks like the Gods Christian War designed for Odyssey. Yeah, totally. Just with a little less of the psychedelic coloring.
That's a really interesting question.
Hey, Mike, there's a lot of other anatomy questions about that particular character that don't make a lot of sense. So you should probably read it, and then we can discuss. It's really weird. The page following that sexy insect page was really weird. But we still got a nice, decent little pile here at the shop. It's only, I think, $3.99 for the first issue. So if you guys want something weird and off the beaten, Marvel DC path, I would recommend Junkie Cable issue 1.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, I would too.
Wait a sec. Mike Rowe says, "What? No love for Steambound by Behemoth." Mike Rowe, you're right. Steambound is another colorful entry into Behemoth's roster, but I actually haven't read it. And we sold out of the first issue really fast, so I'll check it out.
Check it out.
Your turn, Eitan.
Okay. My very first pick of the week is DC's Festival of Heroes, the Asian Superhero Celebration. This is a 100-page giant that came out this week for Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And I don't know if I've ever gotten a chance to talk about these on one of these shows. I know I've posted about them in the Neverending Book Club Facebook group. And this is something that DC does really well. For a while, it kind of felt like one of the only things DC was doing really well. But these big 100-page specials where they like bring these, there was like it was real short, but there was a dark stretch there for a little bit, and it wasn't that long ago. But and now everything's great. Everything's great now. Jeez. But they're really good at getting these like all-star rosters in and having them do little short stories on favorite characters. The most recent ones that I can think of, they did a Catwoman special and a Robin special. They did a Joker one that was actually really good. And then they've done Wonder Woman and Superman, all this stuff. So anyway, this one focuses on some of the Asian heroes of the DC universe. You've got a Batgirl story written by our friend Mariko Tamaki. Gene Yang is in here introducing a brand new character, the Monkey Prince, who is pretty fun. He's like a shape-shifting monkey with an attitude.
Sounds like you.
You get some katana in here. You get for you deep cut DC fans like myself. You all remember? Can I show it to the camera? Grace Choi, right here. I don't know the last time I saw Grace Choi. She was introduced in Judd Winnick's Outsider series in the early 2000s, and she's a badass, and she dates one of Black Lightning's daughters. And so this story is going and having dinner with Black Lightning for the first time, and she's like in awe of him, but they're also like butting heads. And then Behemoth, the old Teen Titans villain, comes in and smashes the sushi place that they're in, and then they got to fight him, and it's great. It's really great. Connor Hawke is in here, and it's a lot of fun. It's 100 pages. It'll take you a while to get through, and I dig it. I think you should read it.
There's also this really, really gorgeous Art Germ variant.
Yeah,
You guys can see that.
with Batgirl on it.
It's kind of a bummer that Art Germ popped so early with these hype artists, and stuff is still incredible and jaw-dropping, but it's like the hype has died down a little bit. I thought that this would have sold out immediately. Such a good Art Germ cover.
Well, we got a lot of them. These are the kind of things you don't want to run out of. You want to make sure everybody who would want something like this can get it, So it's like, I'd rather have extra copies than hold out on somebody who wants it.
Hey, Eitan, do you see Juliet's non-certain quote about her being on the Black Lightning show?
The Grace Choi is?
She says don't quote me. But
Okay.
But I think that would get you to watch the Black Lightning, right?
Yeah, it sure will. I had no idea. That's amazing. Is she huge and tatted up and badass? She is. Whoa. Whoa. Why didn't my dad tell me that? He's holding out on me.
Dang it, Harry.
Well, they need to get her back in the comics. She is missed by me and other people too, I'm sure.
Yes.
And Mike Rowe, I saw your question. If this is OMAC, that is OMAC. That's the newish OMAC who was introduced also in like the early 2000s. And all the what was that storyline called? I don't know. One of the crises is, but that's the new OMAC. It's beautiful to be a child or to be, nearing 40 or whatever and being pandered to this way with all my favorite characters from 20 years ago.
Because no one ever panders to Eitan.
No, I'm in my prime pandering zone. Everybody, give me what I want. What I want right now is to know what Cody's first pick was.
Smooth. Very smooth.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite things that I read this week is a brand new number one. This is Time Before Time. This is a book that is co-written, actually. It's Declan Shalvey writing, but he's co-writing it with Rory McConville, and the art is by Joe Palmer. And the colors are by Chris O'Halloran, which are amazing. Chris O'Halloran is one of my favorite colorists working in comics. This is a super cool, super stylish first issue about essentially an organization that has the capability of time travel through these kind of pod capsules that Kevin and I were talking about today. They're actually like really lo-fi pod capsules. It's like nothing fancy, which adds to kind of the gritty noir-inspired feel of this book. But it's basically this agency that they're kind of couriers through time that take supplies, resources, sometimes people to other points in time. And I'm actually excited to talk about this with you guys because there's parts of it that like I feel a little bit unclear about. In particular, one scene in particular stood out in my mind. But I did definitely want to highlight just these awesome panel layouts and colors. It's a beautifully designed book. I should also give credit to the designer that I think is in the credits because they do really cool things with these with these timestamps that lead you through and kind of set the setting. There's some cool perspective work by Joe McConville on that cityscape. And these Chris O'Halloran colors are just awesome. This is like a nightclub scene with bisexual lighting, as Juliet will appreciate. Very like this is the Caspar Wingard palette. This is what I like to call it now, which is hilarious. The colorist Caspar Wingard of Homesick Pilots was kind of making a meme of himself because he uses those colors so much. It was pretty funny. But anyway, before getting distracted, this is basically a really cool neo-noir futuristic tale. I think they're actually based in the future and they travel back and forth. But I wanted to talk to you guys because there's one scene in particular where one of the agents who works for this company or this corporation basically takes this guy back to the 60s. I think it's 1963. And you learn that the guy is kind of like an unsavory character. Like he's accused of several murders and he says, oh, it's self-defense. It's always self-defense. But thanks. Like no one can chase me here, right? That's great. And the agent himself is just like, you're on the run? Okay, cool. Whatever, man. And I wanted to talk to you guys about like, I guess the morality or the ethics of this organization, and are they, how government funded are they? What kind of operation is really running? Is that supposed to be as open-ended as it felt to me? I kind of wanted to pick you guys' brains about that.
I think that they're gangsters.
Yeah. I get the sense that it's an organized, like a criminal organization.
Gotcha. So it's kind of like a mob type situation.
Yeah. And they're like making people pay for this service, pay everything they've got for this service.
Gotcha.
And then our main guy is like one of their, lowly hoods who makes the runs for them.
And he's like totally jaded by the lifestyle. Like his life isn't progressing in the way he wants to. So he's kind of trying to get out. But once you're in, which is a very mob thing. So that checks out. And that's why he basically conspires with one of his colleagues to steal a time pod and kind of do their own thing. Juliet, thank you for pointing out Sasha. I just looked it up too. Sasha E. Head is the designer on this book, and it's awesome. I wanted to highlight one more thing too about those timestamps. In the very end, something kind of like goes all wrong. I won't spoil too much. But you start seeing like you get these visual cues that things are kind of glitching because that timestamp there is just all jumbled. And I thought that was such a cool touch. It made it feel more immersive and really felt cinematic in that way.
Yeah, totally. The characters are also very distinctive between each other. There aren't a lot of like similar looking characters, which I find very helpful in books like this that have sort of a low detail vibe to them.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, everyone is very distinct, and it's a distinct looking book. It stood out from everything I read in that way. And full disclosure, I'll probably ask you guys multiple times to clarify plot points of books. I just got my second shot yesterday. Yay. But as a result, I was kind of like, what? So I read so many comics because I was oddly wired after my second shot all day. So I got a lot of reading done, and then I'm just like, wait, so this was really cool, but like, why was it cool? So we might run into some of that tonight.
Now you know how I feel every single week. That's how I feel after every comic book I read. That was so cool. What happened? Why do I feel this way?
What about the feeling, right?
You guys should read all your comics and then remember them.
I'm usually better in my defense. Last night, debatable, but
not my style. I remember if it's good. I remember if it's not good.
Yeah.
I remember if it's cool. Remember if it's not cool. I really love the art in this one. I definitely had I wasn't not familiar with this artist just by name alone. Anyway, Joe Palmer. But it's got like a little bit of Mike Mignola, like lots of blacks, lots of like hard edges on things, lots of corners instead of curves on everybody and everything, and then maybe like a Phil Hestery kind of vibe because it's not all black like a Mignola book, but still has that style. It was great, and I thought it fit perfectly, and it works with all the different decades too to have this that particular style. I thought.
Yeah, I liked, my favorite part, I think, was what Cody was talking about before, how, well, actually, my favorite part of the book is you get to find out what happens when this whole time travel business doesn't work out quite the way you thought, for not only the customers, but the employees. But aside from that, my other favorite part was, like Cody mentioned, the time travel pods that they're in. They look like trash compactors. They don't look like anything that would take you anywhere except to a very fast, crushing death. And it's like got 6 freaking buttons inside. I mean, maybe there's more, but I love that lo-fi end of what's going on and the world that we're being introduced to, because the concept is so like advanced and heady. You don't have to waste time dealing with all the little stuff. It's just like, here's a trash compactor, hop inside, let's take you to the 30s.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice sound words. Thanks.
Sound words. Oh yeah. Are there good sound effects?
There are good sound words in that one.
Deet deet deet. Ksh. Deet deet deet. Click. Yeah, that's awesome. Blam. Blam 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 blam.
What's your next one, Kevin?
Okay. I don't do a lot of DC stuff, so my next pick is going to be a DC book. So there was this huge thing, Future State, a bunch of crazy stuff happened. It was all a bunch of cool, like, future flung stories about the heroes we'd love and, versions of them that we're not familiar with. This week was essentially, I think, the final Future State branded title, right?
This is actually an ongoing series starting now. So this is like...
Is it going to always be called Future State, or is it going to?
Yeah, I mean, the title of the series is Future State Gotham. But hey, Cody.
Hi, Cody.
Hey.
Sorry.
So all the Future State little mini series that ran over the course of that 2-month stretch are done. But this is now like our first kind of revisiting revisit to that world, and it's supposed to be an ongoing thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if this does well if you see more. If we end up with a Future State Green Lantern or Superman or something like that.
Well, I initially chose it because there was so much Future State stuff coming out so fast that I was like drowning in DC, and then there was nothing, no DC stuff, except for this popped up, and I was like, all right, I'll keep reading some cool Future State. This was so much cooler than I expected. It's all black and white. It's done as a it's done in a very manga style. I'm going to show you guys a couple pages.
Look at that giant Scarface.
Oh, it's so good. It's like a giant mecha Scarface. Hold on, I got more pages. It's got a very, very heavy Akira vibe. Both in the sense that like the main protagonist is hauling ass on a badass motorcycle and shooting guns. And then also there's like a big thing that happens in Gotham. And look at this. Doesn't that feel like Akira? But we get introduced to a couple brand new characters. Peacekeeper Red, who's essentially like a Red Hood version of the Peacekeepers that we've been seeing work for the Magistrate during this Future State stuff. I don't know. I'm going to read all of these. I'm going to keep getting them. I hope they do more. I hope they have more titles out. I would certainly love to add more DC titles to my roster. They did have an amazing James Stokoe B cover for this week.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Major Akira vibes. That's so good. Like, look at the details.
The book also had a backup story.
Yeah.
I'm not well versed enough in manga, but I'm assuming this is a manga creator, Katsuhiro Otomo.
Yeah.
Because they
might have heard of him.
That's
I haven't heard. Who is that? Who is it?
Yeah, it's Akira created.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. I have heard of them. But they did a Batman story. It's translated into English, but there's a short Batman story by them at the end of this book.
Lots of Batman and his opponent standing a distance from each other, yelling things at each other with angry faces.
Yeah. I'm fascinated by this. I'm so interested in why it is this way. If it's just because it's awesome, or like, is DC making a reach for a new audience, but doing it in a way where they can still keep their old audience?
I don't think so. I think they're going for the new ones, man. They seem to like. I think that what I love about this book is that it fully commits to the manga format. It's not like some middling bullshit where it's like manga inspired art or chibi characters or anything. It was like picking up a full size comic that has cool ass manga in it.
Yeah. And I'm so curious to see how it ends up being printed. Are they gonna I think it would be cool if they printed it in the manga format. We could put this on the manga shelf, but I mean but it reads left to right. I don't know. It's I'm so interested. I would love to know how this came to be. But it's awesome. I mean, it was super fun to read. Super fun.
Filthy Rich Bone Man asks what we thought of the Tomo short in the back. Filthy Rich Bone Man, I thought it was super cool, but the actual plot of the backup story was kind of weird and not as easy to understand. We'll talk about it probably when you come to the shop next time, because I don't know if that's I think it's a spoiler if we talk about the final pages of that. So come talk to me later. Batman makes a statement at the end of that backup that I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Right. But the style is so
fucking bananas, man.
It's so different but familiar, but
look at that stuff.
Different.
Very classic sort of paneling.
Yeah.
So good. Anyways,
very, very cool.
That's my second pick of the week.
Love it. Well, we lost Cody.
Cody. Joe, I didn't quite understand the climax either. There are a couple visual clues that I think might clarify a little bit for us. So let's talk. I got my copy at home. You can message me later and we can discuss.
Okay, I'm going to go with, for my second pick, this new Aftershock title, Silver City. Silver City #1. The writer is Olivia Cortero Briggs. Artist is Luca Merli. And
are you familiar with either of them?
Also. What's that?
Are you familiar with either of them?
No. Well, wait. I was reading the bio in the back.
Oh yeah, they're awesome. I love that Aftershock does that.
Yeah, it's super cool. The back of Aftershock books, they give you a little paragraph on all the creators and what they do. And it says Olivia writes TV and comics in Los Angeles. Doesn't say what titles they've done. The artist is Italian, maybe living in Italy. Who knows? But Silver City was interesting. So there's it starts with this our lead character with her boyfriend at an airport, and we don't know how or why, but there is a giant explosion. An airplane right outside of where she's standing in the airport explodes, and there's a mass casualty event at the airport. And so it kind of blinks out, and the next thing you know, there's these guys with white coats and dark glasses coming in, and they're shining flashlights in everybody's eyes to confirm that they're dead, and they start leading the dead people this way. It's all very business-like. Who are hey, you guys over this way, you guys over this way, follow us, and they lead them into this place, the Silver City, which is just this giant metropolis, and it's very dark and dirty and gloomy, and this is the afterlife for these people. And people are being separated. The right before the explosion, the lead character has an interaction with a little girl who unfortunately is a victim of this explosion as well, and she sees her in this afterlife, maybe being led to, like, because she's been separated from her family, she's going to go off somewhere where she doesn't belong. So our character leads in. The character, like, right away makes some new friends. There's these two, like, punk rock dudes hanging out on a bridge being like, you need somewhere to stay? And she's like, whatever, creeps. And she's like, no, really, we just have to pay rent, and it's really expensive in this shitty city. You should come live with us. So it's just like no version of the afterlife I've ever even thought of, that it's just like you could die and just end up in a shitty, expensive city.
It's another Oakland.
Oh my
Hey.
God.
Hey.
Sorry.
San Francisco, not
Not cool.
Sorry.
shots fired. Mike Rowe, we'll add that to your list. Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's cool. The lead. So, and also we find out, we get a lot of information from our new punk rock buddies that, like, you won't age, you won't gain weight, all these things, but if you get hurt, you can't heal either. So you see there's people who have, like, weird skin grafts, and then maybe, just maybe, there's more to our lead character than there appears to be. Like, maybe some abilities that other people don't have, but you'll have to read and find out what they are. But Silver City, I can show you a little bit of interior artwork.
The art's good.
This is a particularly cool page here. If you can see it. This is her looking at a mural in her new apartment of the Silver Knight, who is somebody who people believe in as, like, a savior for the folks who live in this city. This it's really hard to point with my opposite hand. This is a vision of what the afterlife looked like before this nefarious group came in and separated people. So anyway, something a little different from Aftershock, who are kind of on a roll lately with new releases. I would recommend checking out Silver City #1.
Did you notice? I just noticed now looking at it that it's like all the colors are basically orange or green.
It is a lot of orange and green.
That's it.
Yeah, I did not notice that when I read it, and now I can't unsee it.
Yes, I'm the best at that, guys. In case you don't know, I'm the best at pointing out things you'll never be able to unhear or unsee.
Cool. That's Silver City.
Cool. It's not my turn because Cody dropped off. Cody dropped off for a second. I think it's now your turn, Senior Cody.
We did weird things, and now the order is weird. No, order's the same. My next pick is Proctor Valley Road. This is issue number 3. This is the current endeavor by Grant Morrison, co-written with Alex Child, with art by Naomi Franquise, and colors by the fabulous Tamara Bonvillain, who crushes it on this book. Tamara is another one of my favorite colorists, but this, in my opinion, is some of her strongest stuff. This issue takes our cast, our all-female cast. Shit's basically really hit the fan here with the haunted Proctor Valley Road and the missing boys that they have a direct link to. Basically, the authorities and the faculty are accusing these girls of knowing where they are, not disclosing this information. So they know that they have to find these boys and crush this before the consequences get out of their control. And this really, it really takes it to the next level as far as the ghosties and the ghouls that we're dealing with. They steal a cop car in this issue and take it into, which is very illegal, but also kind of, never mind. I'm not going to say another thing that will be embarrassing. But they do that and take it into the haunted Proctor Valley Road and basically have a confrontation with the spirits who are haunting it. This has been an awesome series. It's super funny. Every character is so alive. They all have these distinct attitudes and personalities. Even in the face of danger, they quite literally laugh in the face of danger. It's always funny. It never misses a beat with their kind of just their punk rock attitude, their rock and roll attitude. And it's just been such a joy to behold. And it's a beautiful looking book. I should highlight some awesome art here. also so you can sample these colors I'm talking about. But yeah, Tamara Bonvillain's signature glow is in full effect here. It's just a beautiful book to look at. It's so much fun. It's so expressive, all the faces you get in here. I'm having a hell of a time reading this book, and I definitely recommend it.
Yeah. And for like
Go
the
tell them
dialogue,
about the
too.
weird coincidence from that issue.
Oh yeah, that's bizarre. So Eitan just recently enlightened me on the classic film. If you are a connoisseur of film at all, I'm sure you've heard of it. It's called Hercules in New York, one of the best movies in American history. No, but he just told me about this movie that's like an early Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and then they reference it in this book, and I texted Eitan immediately because it's super weird that like of all movies they would reference a movie that Eitan just told me about, and I was like laughing at as we looked at pictures and screen grabs from it. So that was bizarre.
It's so random. That's such an odd movie to use as a reference, like of all the, I guess because it's in the 70s and it's Arnold Schwarzenegger's first movie. And I was telling these guys he doesn't even speak it's dubbed. He doesn't speak English yet or fluent enough English to deliver all of his lines as Hercules fish out of water in New York City. And and I loved this movie as a child. I loved it, and I hadn't thought of it in decades and decades. And it came up for some odd reason in the store, and then boom, there it is on the page. I think that's some Grant Morrison magic. I think Grant's off there doing Grant's little rituals and things, and stole that from our minds and put it into their book. I really do.
I think so. I like to think that Grant is very much like catering to me personally, constantly. That's the hope.
I think so.
I've really enjoyed the dialogue in this issue a lot. I feel like so many times when I'm reading this book, like a conversation between characters, it's obviously designed by the writer, so you can sometimes get a sense of where it's going or what someone's going to say. But there are so many times when I'm reading this that it makes me laugh out loud or completely takes me off guard with the way that one of these like super punk rock as fuck, like rebellious girls responds to authority. Yeah, I don't know. It was great. I really enjoyed it.
And it's great too because they're like very much, they live their life constantly being told no or you can't. And the opening scene of this book is the ultimate display of that, as I think it's the principal who's telling them that like, your lives aren't going anywhere. And these are all young girls full of promise. They're all like, such interesting people with all this potential, and they're very much existing in this bubble where everyone's telling them they can't. And then meanwhile they go and deal with all this like mythological level shit. So it's been very fun to see them do that.
Yeah, it was pretty entertaining. I think that we can safely. Well, I don't know. I'm pretty sure, Mike, that we can put to rest the fan theory that the girls are the monsters. I don't really get the sense that that's where this is going. Maybe they'll surprise me, but I don't know.
I wonder what loser thought of that theory.
Embarrassing. God. I don't know. Let's find them and tell them they were wrong, guys. Let's all go do that person together and make sure that we tell them as a unit that they were wrong to think that.
I also, and you might agree with me on this, Eitan, with your love/no love for magic, but I really appreciate in books when a magical or mythical creature can get up by explosions or blades or things that like normal people have to fight with.
Yeah.
Instead of like you blow them up and it's like, oh, it's a spirit, you can't do shit. Like when you do something to a ghostly creature that's trying to kill you in the desert and you can fight back. That was pretty cool too.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. They don't need to just abracadabra it away.
Right. No, fuck that. Let's blow some shit up.
All right. Is it back to you, Kevin?
Yeah. My turn.
Okay.
Okay. My last pick of the week comes in the form of Silver Coin number 2. If you guys joined us when we talked about number 1, you'll remember how excited we all were for this Kelly Thompson slasher by the lake campsite story, and it delivered. It was great. There's nothing that really like broke any new ground or changed the way that these types of stories are told. But the combination of Kelly Thompson and Michael Walsh on art is to die for. Let me show you. Well, here's the opening page of our Lakeside Slasher adventure that we get served up right away.
Ooh, that's creepy.
It's pretty freaking good, right? And then you get introduced to a young girl who goes to camp where she thinks everything's going to be magical and wonderful. Basically the camp of her dreams. And she gets there and it's very different. There are mean girls. There's stuff she doesn't want to do with the camp. People are kind of mean or they ignore her. And we get to see how that plays out in classic slasher fashion.
I feel like she like actually kind of hates it. Like she gets there and she's like, "Ew, it's too wholesome." Like she's like super
I think
not.
that's her statement, but she'd like built it up in her head to like this thing, and then as soon as she gets off the bus, she's like, "This sucks." Yeah, she says it. She literally says it's so wholesome. She's like, but
with that look on her face.
Yeah,
that look on her face. It's a nice self-contained little story. She obviously, because the whole premise of this book is that people are stumbling across cursed pieces of silver. She comes across something with cursed silver in it, and it just does not go well. The stories, Juliet, are not really connected, aside from at the end of this story, you see the coin sort of move on and head towards whatever maybe the next story will be, or some other story in this universe of evil coin tales. But you don't need to read any of them to enjoy the next one or the one before it, at least not so far. So if you don't want to read this one because it's super slashery, and you just want to keep reading the stories, you could totally skip it and go to 3. Or if the reverse is the case and you want to read this and none of the other ones, it's all contained and a delight to read. Let me see if there's any other pages I have to show you guys. Oh my god.
Yeah, more Michael Welsh art is always good. Love Michael so much. Super stylistic, always a treat.
Oh, I like this one. Just the shadows in the windows.
Oh yeah. That is terrifying.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. It's there is. I take it back. I just double checked the back of the book to make sure I wasn't missing anything. There is like a little bit of a twist to it that adds a little flavor, but classic slasher sort of story. I think that if you are a fan of the genre, you'd enjoy it. Oh, and if you're a cover hunter, super excellent Tula Lote, right?
I love that cover.
Does that connect to the first one? Are they
it's a similar palette, yeah. They're not like matching. I don't know if they connect or not. Or
okay.
Well, there's like some kind of like cord coming into that frame.
Mm-hmm. The guitar chord from the first cover, maybe.
Like some kind of. I don't know how much they'll connect, but they are pretty cohesive. But I'm wondering what that chord, if there was like some kind of rope coming out of that first cover.
We got to see if we have any number one. Was number one a spec book? I don't remember. Did we get cleaned out?
No, we got plenty of number one. I just don't know how many of the Lotte covers we have because it was a Lotte number one.
Right.
Yeah.
I also know that number 3 has a totally different B cover artist, but it's still super cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's still really stylized and a little more wild than like the A covers that keep basically showing the coin show up. You see how the coin is in the eyeball of that thing. Oh my god, I love it. I love a good horror tale. You guys should check it out.
I'm nervous. I think I'm gonna be scared.
I think that you'll love it, man. I don't think that you'll be. I think you'll get creeped out, and we'll have some really awesome chats about it. But it's not that scary.
I'll read it with the lights on. That's fine.
Yeah,
as long as it's not dark. I noticed when I opened it up there that Michael Walsh colors and letters their own stuff. That's pretty awesome.
He does the damn thing.
The letters are awesome in that issue too, in this book.
Yeah, good sound effects and stuff. Rather
look
Yeah, the
very-
lettering is great.
It looks very handwritten.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember me being super pumped on the Many Deaths of Layla Starr lettering, and this is equally as enticing.
There's some good ha-ha-has.
Oh, yeah.
What, Juliet? Juliet says the B cover for number 4 is Christian Ward.
That's right. It does feel kind of low tay-y. I've committed to these B covers. I'm a big fan.
I need it. Where Christian Ward goes, I follow.
Oh, wait till you see the Christian Ward B cover for 3. It's excellent. Cool. That's my pick. Number 3.
The Lotte covers do connect. Michael Rose says, okay.
Hot
Sweet.
dog. Thanks,
Maybe
Michael.
that chord that Cody noticed is the guitar chord from the first one, and it's like a subtle connection on the second one,
Yeah.
so as not to distract.
I mean, now that Juliet's asking that, it's making me think more about how these stories could connect and whether this is going to be a bit more like of a linked up thing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Was the first issue in the 70s?
Yeah.
Was this one in the 80s because of a slasher?
Yeah.
looked like it. She's watching a VHS and that first page, right?
Slashers are very 80s, so maybe the coin is moving through time with us.
So
Yeah.
what's the
Or
theme of the
like
night?
disappears for a while and resurfaces.
Yeah.
Does it say who the team and stuff is for the third issue at the back?
Ed
Yeah,
Brisson.
I think it did.
Ed Brisson and Michael Walsh.
Yeah, Ed Brisson. That's going to be awesome. I haven't read a Ed Brisson indie thing in quite a while. It's called Death Rattle. After a home invasion goes bad, the mysterious coin helps its new owners outrun the law, but it's leading them down a path much darker.
Bum, bum, bum. Like 90s, home invasions.
I think that it's going to be like loosely, like maybe like you guys are saying, like chronologically moving through history. Oh, issue 4 is in the far future. Well, guys, it looks like we're just going to have to go on this journey together.
Coin. Haunted coin through time.
Theories are just getting crushed left and right. Glad I'm not on any sides of those.
The series is basically ongoing right now, right? It's not like a announced mini, as far as I know.
I think it's like a 5-part series. I think.
Oh, okay. Got it. Boo.
My final book, I have so many books I want to give honorable mention to. I'm going to give one honorable mention because I would have picked it, but I feel like you guys have heard me talk about it enough. But I got to point out this Rorschach number 8. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. The things that Tom King and Jorge Fornes are doing in this book, storytelling wise, and like the different methods they're using. This issue here, you can see on this page, like you see the red tones on top there and the greens and the blues. Basically, the detective who's investigating these Rorschach crimes is interrogating 3 different people who were associated with this old man who was the Rorschach at the beginning of the story. And you get these 3 kind of parallel stories, and they're all they all have these like color coding. They all kind of fit and tell a different part. They all get into our lead characters from alternate perspectives. It's so good. It's so amazingly good. I mean, this is probably next to Mr. Miracle, the best Tom King thing I think I've read. And I know people have hesitance because of the Watchmen connection, maybe because they think Watchmen shouldn't be messed with or referred to or touched again, but it's like, it's Watchmen adjacent at best.
You guys couldn't hear it.
I was alone here.
Yeah, no, Eitan is pleading with you guys to read Rorschach. If you're not good at subtlety and you didn't hear the pain in his voice, he's begging someone to read this with him so he can talk about it.
I mean, there's a decent amount of people reading it, but I feel like I don't hear people talking about it or like excited about it in a way that I think it should for like the craft of like how this book is being done. The art is phenomenal. They're, like I said, they're doing all this interesting stuff, and I don't feel like it's getting the buzz because people have feelings about Watchmen, both positive and negative, and it's really influenced people's like willingness to read it. But anyway, I just wanted to point out that it was great.
Do you see Joe's comment or Filthy Rich Bone Man there? You can read each section by itself or all together.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, in that issue, sure, definitely.
Yeah, 3 different chunks.
Yeah. I enjoyed getting like the same kind of scenes repeated from these different. You have like his lawyer, his like handyman, and his psychiatrist, all talking about their time on this farm with the Rorschach and the kid. Crazy. Will Smyerson based on Steve Ditko. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, kind of a self-made outcast, a recluse, who's a comics legend who's kind of off in a political on a political spectrum in one way or the other in a far direction.
Give me 5, Eitan. Give me 5.
But anyway, that's not the book I really want to talk about.
Damn. Rejected.
Oh, you're going to meet 5 up there? Oh, I can't. I got it. Okay, ready. Now I just look like I'm raising the roof. Hey, look, Lamont's here. What's up, Lamont?
Hey.
What's up? Shalom to you, my friend.
Shalom, Lamont.
Okay, the book that I did want to talk to you about that was brand new this week, talk to you about was Justice League Last Ride, which is written by the great Chip Zdarsky with art by, I want to say this name as best I can, Miguel Mendonca. I don't know what that accent at the bottom of a C is. Enrica Angiolini on colors and a bunch of other people, a design company on letters. This is the A cover. Kevin, did you happen to grab the B cover for this book?
I didn't. I was gonna, but I didn't. Okay. I do know that it's Mendonça. It's a C as an
Mendonça.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. Because for some reason, and no disrespect to Derek Robertson, who's done a lot of great stuff in comics and has done some really popular things and stuff that I've really enjoyed. But this A cover they had Derek Robertson do, and they had the main series artist do the B cover, and like here's the interior art.
It's really good.
It's really good. It's really clean. Hold on, I'm gonna show another page of some sexy Superman. But hey, Clark. What's up, buddy? Look at that guy.
Are you going to tell me that you don't like Preacher Batman and Preacher Superman?
I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I don't think it does the issue a lot of favors. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, all the respect for Derek Robertson. I've enjoyed a lot of their stuff, but this is kind of a generic cover. Screaming Superman.
I'm just wondering why Wonder Woman's doing like a Wakanda Forever in the corner.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't understand.
I think she's like in the process of giving herself a hug. Like her hand's about to open up. She's like, you know what I mean?
When she bangs the things together? No, that's not what she does. I don't know.
Dink, dink.
Yeah, I don't know.
When she's like intimidating people in a fight, she's like, "What's up, motherfuckers?" Dunk, dunk.
But she looks sad, and I was like, "What is this pose? I don't get it."
Yeah, anyway, if I were in charge of the DC comics, of the Detective Comics, this is not the cover I would have put on this book. And the B cover is really strong. It's also another team shot of the Justice League, everybody flying, and doing their thing. But anyway, the idea of this book, it's in a possible future, a potential future, and the Justice League has disbanded. And it's like a mystery in this issue as to why, but something particularly between Batman and Superman went down. It has broken their friendship and partnership to the extent where the Justice League can't exist anymore. And they are pulled back into service one last time. And it's, Chip Zdarsky is a great writer. I think we've talked about his writing a number of times on this show by now. And so it's pretty exciting to see him tackling the mainstays of the DC universe, at least for me. So if you want something like a no strings attached DC story, like you don't need to have read anything because we don't know what the impetus was for their breakup. But you could start right here, get all these excellent takes on classic characters. You can see Kilowog wearing a sweatshirt.
That's a great page.
Isn't that rad? This is one of the main parts of the story is that the Green Lanterns here have captured Lobo. They need the Justice League to help keep Lobo alive in order to be put on trial. And for some reason, the Green Lanterns can't do it. But really what we need to focus on is Kilowog in a hoodie.
Thank you.
Because that's a hell of a look. Like that should be his costume, I think.
Looking thick with pussies.
Superheroes and civvies is always my favorite. I get unreasonably happy about panels like that.
Yeah. John Stewart's got his North Face jacket on. Jessica Cruz looking good. So
Juliet says that Wonder Woman and Batman look sad because Chip likes making superheroes cry.
Well, I feel like we're going to see all kinds of crying superheroes in here.
Yeah, they're all very, very sad and tired in this book.
Something bad happened. Somebody named John is dead. And
somebody named John. Conveniently spelled with an apostrophe.
Somebody named John. Somebody green named John.
Don't know who.
Anyway, Justice League Last Ride. Check it out. Don't let this cover fool you. It's not what it looks like on the inside. Okay.
Yeah.
What? A comic book that doesn't look like the cover on the inside? What are you talking about?
I don't know. It's crazy. It's weird.
I've never heard of that before.
Before we leave for the evening, I feel like there were a couple other honorable mentions that we should bring up just so people who checked out the number ones don't forget that there's a second issue.
Does Cody need to get through one? Does Cody have one more? Third book?
It was the change in rotation made me think that we were done. You're right.
What's your last book, Cody?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay because we're pretty much sold out. This is the salvageable damage that we found at the end of the day. So it's you can come get this one if you want. I don't know. It's a little bit damaged. But this was one of my favorite things I read last night. This is Carmen. This is issue number 3. This is the book by Gilliam March, who's writing and illustrating and doing the whole damn thing, I think. Color Assist by Tony Lopez. Credit where credit's due. Translated by Dan Christensen. So this is basically a super poignant observation on life, really. It starts with the suicide of this woman who's clearly has a lot of troubles and sees it as her only way. And so it starts really rocky and really upsetting, and it ends up being kind of this beautiful observation and celebration of life and how important it is not to sequester yourself and get too lost in kind of the prisons that we make for ourselves. In this issue in particular, she gets a glimpse into some other lives and the potential that these lives had before they were stolen from them. And she gets to reflect on her choice to take away her own and what that means for her. And we also get a look at who this specter of death who's been kind of accompanying her on this kind of strange, surreal odyssey. We get a look into where she comes from and what she does, and we get to see a counterpart of her who's also working the same job. So very much kind of like it's starting to feel a little bit like that other recent release that's fabulous with art by Felipe Andrade, The Many Deaths of Layla Starr, written by Ram V, with art by Felipe Andrade, with taking kind of the afterlife being kind of this job that these agents do, kind of like this office job where they come down and take care of us when we pass. But Gilliam March is doing awesome stuff with perspective in this book. And there's tons of that. I mean, issue 2 was really firing on all cylinders when it came to perspective, and the line work is just beautiful. It's super detailed. There's a glimpse of her childhood bedroom that she sees, and it's just packed full of stuff to look at. The closer you look and the longer you look, it's been a beautiful book. It's very, very emotional, at times very hard to read, but it's always been rewarding. Just being a visual treat aside, there's just a lot happening here, and a lot. Gilliam March is really, it feels like a very personal book for Gilliam March. He's tackling some stuff that's, stuff that crosses our mind a lot in our subconscious, I think, in all the troubles that we go through and how hard life has been specifically in the past year or so. So it does come with a trigger warning for that, but it's been a beautiful journey inside and out. So I've been loving this book.
And I did not know that Gilliam March had that in him, after I think we talked about this before, but just the years of like Batman and Harley Quinn and Catwoman books and stuff, like those, especially those cityscapes, are breathtaking. I mean, I wonder how long this book took to make, because there are pages in there that look they must have taken a week, like that one that you showed just now. Like it's spectacular.
Yeah, truly.
This is also the first issue in the series where this girl who's made a arguably selfish decision and has just been guided by death as this sort of like disconnected like customer service representative, like answering questions and kind of ferrying her to where she needs to be. In this issue, you actually get some pushback from Death. So you get to hear Death's perspective on suicide and things like that, which is really, really interesting.
Yeah. An awesome looking book.
Wow.
Yeah, that page rocked my world. That one right there.
Yeah. So yeah, as far as a book that we have a little bit more of a supply for, I wanted to highlight Guardians of the Galaxy 14. This is still Al Ewing's run. This is art by Juan Frigeri. This was a super fun issue, very, very funny. We get a lot of Wiccan and Hulkling content in here, which is awesome. And you get a lot of hijinks because Doctor Doom has made his way into a Guardians of the Galaxy book, which is kind of wild and crazy. So it's been kind of a fun reveal that you deal with the ramifications of his presence here. You get some big cosmic shakeups that Al Ewing loves to do. Still having a great time with Guardians.
Sweet.
Here's my honorable mentions that I mentioned. Second issue, Spider-Man Spider Shadow, out this week.
Boop, boop, boop.
Second issue of Heroes Reborn, which was actually really stinking cool. Batman the Detective issue 2 is also out this week. And finally, I know you guys didn't forget because that issue 1 was so good, but Geiger number 2 is out as well.
A couple honorable mentions for me.
Do it.
Joker 3, I've talked about the first couple issues of Joker and how pleasantly surprised by how good it is and how it's really a Gordon story. We met Bane's daughter in the last issue, and she plays into this. And then Tom Taylor and Andy Kubert's Batman Detective continues with issue 2 this week. Tom Taylor becoming my favorite guy, my go-to, my number one. I got to read everything he does. So this little mini series, Batman in Europe, is my jam. So check them out, please.
Excellent.
Love you. All right. Let's just do that. Cody, go ahead, turn it off. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah,
thanks for joining us, everybody. Come down to the shop. Talk to us more about comics. We're just nerd-ass nerds that want to nerd out. So
True.
Yeah, come see us pretty soon. When you come see us, that big black tarp behind us is going to be down. I might be able to sneak a few glimpses into the back of the new space. They made some serious work this week, so getting closer.
Awesome. Well, everyone, thanks for joining us. We have hit our time, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Diddly-doo, diddly-doo, diddly-doo.